Fox's, when I was working in Minnesota, we also covered Iowa, and we promised the results, and then they didn't happen.
Thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk. My name is Janae Hancock, and I'm joined by Zac Summers. Today we are going to be going behind the story, talking about a independence teacher who has been vindicated. So we do want to turn things over to Zac and explain how he even came across this story. If you take a look at it on our website, KCTV5.com, we are going to just have Zac break it all down for us.
Well, you know, the story first came into our newsroom back in November when it was alleged that a teacher at Bingham Middle School had sent a nude picture to a student via Snapchat. And the school district at the time, they kind of did an investigation of their own really quickly, and within that day had told our newsroom, hey, we're looking into this, but we don't really think that this is legit. And so we kind of just took that because, you know, usually when the school district says that, it's like, okay, well, maybe something's
kind of hold off.
Yeah, something's a little off here because they know more than what we know at the time. So we didn't do anything with it. But what happened was you had the school district and Independence Police Department simultaneously conducting an investigation. But this teacher, Ted Whitmire, was allowed to continue to teach. And there were some parents who didn't understand or didn't like that. The teacher was allowed, or Whitmire was allowed to keep teaching. So they went to social media and they kind of slandered his name. Like he was in Facebook groups, people basically like accusing him of certain things because they all thought he was this teacher who had sent a message. All the while, police are investigating, the school district, they're saying, look, we don't think this is legit at all. But they were letting police do their investigation. So you fast forward to December, police conclude their investigation. They find out that Ted Whitmire had nothing to do with this at all.
And that's what's so shocking.
Exactly. He didn't have anything to do with it. It turns out the person who sent this nude was some 600 miles away, and police weren't able to track that person. And you know, I was able to look through some of the Snapchat messages because this was between a student at the school and the student thought that this was a teacher at the school. But when you look through the Snapchat messages, while the sender said that they were a Bingham Middle School teacher, once asked, the sender never confirmed that he was Mr. Whitmire or they were Mr. Whitmire. The student kind of just put two and two together because they saw that the picture that was sent, the nude picture, the person had a beard, and they assumed that it was Mr. Whitmire. So in our story, we sit down one-on-one exclusively with Mr. Whitmire, who basically kind of talks about how like this whole ordeal upended his whole life.
Right.
You know, like he was harassed online, his church's Facebook was people were sending messages to his church's Facebook page.
Really ruining his life.
Exactly. And he had to deal with this and basically sit in silence while this investigation played out, knowing that he was completely innocent. So he talks to us about that. We also talked to the superintendent because, you know, the district, a lot of parents' concern at the time was, why was this teacher still teaching when there's an investigation going? But again, the district was adamant from the get-go, like, this was not one of our employees, but we will let police do their due diligence. So we talked to the superintendent about that decision, but I think during the course of working this story, you know, reading through the report and figuring out how police came to the conclusion that Whitmire wasn't a part of it, in the police report, it says that they were able to trace the IP address because they subpoenaed Snapchat. They traced the IP address, and it again ended up at an address like 600 miles away, which we detail in the story.
Yeah, completely different state.
And that led us down the road to this cyber forensic expert in Baltimore, who kind of explains how this was able to happen and how Mr. Whitmire likely was the victim of something called identity spoofing, which we detail in the story. So it was, it's a cautionary tale of, don't run with everything that you see online, and let the investigation run its course. And three, to believe that, your child's school district really does have your child's safety and best interest at heart.
That's right.
So,
working on this story, what did you find most surprising about, you sit down with this teacher, you sit down with the superintendent, what did you find the most surprising?
well, sitting down with him, I saw a man who clearly was hurt by all of this, but I saw a man who is ready to clear his name and move on. He really wants to get past this because he really does enjoy teaching. But he told us in the interview, I want my students' parents to want me to teach their children too. So there's that trust, and he wants parents to have his back, and to put this all in the past. It really is a matter of clearing his name. On top of the other elements we've mentioned.
Yeah, it is. It's in an interesting piece. Let's put it that way. It's very interesting, but I will say that Zac did a very good job on this story, and props to that teacher that had the courage to come out and speak up and really defend his name. But just taking a look at this visual here that you see on your screen, the fact that this investigation now goes to a whole different state is what really grabbed my attention with this. So, Zac, when can people watch this story?
Yeah, well, the story is available to watch right now on KCTV5.com and on our app, which is available both on Android and Apple devices. But it airs tomorrow night, Thursday night, at 10 o'clock on KCTV5 News at 10.
And it's still ongoing. The investigation is still
Well,
underway.
actually, not quite. The investigation, here's what's so crazy about all of this. The investigation is closed.
Oh.
And it's likely police will never know who sent this. And we kind of talked to that point in this story.
In the story. Alrighty. Well, be sure to keep it tuned in here with KCTV5 to watch Zac's story. This is behind the story, but you can tune in on our website right now, KCTV5.com, or you can tune in tomorrow evening. Right now, I'm Janae Hancock here at the live desk, joined by Zac Summers, and we will have more behind the stories later on in this series. So be sure to stay tuned in with that as well. Thank you so much for joining us.